Hey, 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 what's up, folks? How's everybody doing? Notice, Mike, Smoochie, Iris. Here, let me turn off my YouTube. Okay, there we go. Smoochie and Iris. Shelly, Vixen, hey, Junior Bacon. Slow motion. So, how's everybody doing tonight? I'm going to let everybody kind of cruise and see how everybody's doing as we go. We're going to kind of go with the flow um, as people come in. Um, you're going to hear a lot of ums tonight. Now, some of you know that I do have voice issues, so just bear with me. Um, Other than that, we're just going to say wing it. I know some people may come in later. Um, they specifically said they had questions for me. See if they show up. Other than that, we're just going to hang and chalk. Maybe I'll tell a story or two of some of the crazy stuff that I see. And then I'm going to have a question for you guys later tonight. And then I'm going to talk to Gemma about it. And we'll go from there. Hey, Lucum, spookum. Vixen. Yes, I need that bacon. In fact, I just had a sub with bacon on it. So how's everybody tonight? Hi, Melissa. How you doing, Bacon? Miss Bacon. She's bacon. I'm good. I'm good. Now, I don't know how you guys want to do it as people roll in. I'm going to switch over here to my YouTube. There we go. I see you guys better that way. Yummy bacon. Lotus, Lotus, always in my thoughts. Then Carolyn, hey, I didn't see you sneak in. Just get off the lawnmower. Yeah, I'm ready to go home and cut grass. Hopefully, I'll give you an update while we load in. Um, we're hoping to be moving back in within the next 2 to 3 weeks, which is nice. My dad is so ready to get out of this hotel. Bless his heart. Um, so that's good news. He's all happy about that. I've been taking care of the last of the paperwork. They're cranking out. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm hoping 3 weeks tops. And it's sad because we'll actually have to move in before we move in because there's literally nothing in the house. Hello, Richard. And I think what we can do, I'll let you guys decide if you want me to tell a story a little later after we kind of give it time to see who all shows up. Because actually, I didn't expect this many to show up. I'm very grateful. That's fun. I'll promote Gemma during the show too. Bless her heart. And don't be ashamed to tip. The tips do go to her. So I'm good right now. So I don't need anything. Trying to read chat. Can we meet Dad? Pop is in the bed. Usually about this time, he's curled up in front of the TV watching either Fox News or wrestling. It's Thursday night. He's probably watching wrestling. Or he likes the paranormal channels too. He likes those shows too. He likes caught on camera. Oh, thanks, Lotus. I got good ghost stories actually. So if you guys are into that, I'd like the room to fill up a little bit, see what happens. Give it about. I'm in no rush to get off. I figured we can go to either 9:30 and 10. See how the day, see how it rolls. If I get too boring for you, I'll cut it short. But yeah, I could definitely do a ghost story. I got a couple of them. Growing grasses, yeah, it is. Oh, happy 420, everybody! For those who indulge. I've told a lot of cool stories. Sean, I don't know how many of you know Sean G from Chasing the Truth. Actually, he was one of the first people to really get me talking. I used to get on the phone with him and talk. Question mark. See what we're saying here. Yep, it's that time of the year again. Okay. Now that's one thing I ask. We keep careful what we say, be respectful. I love you, Smoochie. Just keep it nice. But I can get away with that. I think she can get away with that. Just don't push it too much. We'll get ourselves in trouble. I don't want this to get, I don't know if she monetize this or not. So let's not push it. Believe me, because I could if I wanted to. Some of the subjects I would love to talk about, I would literally have to go to another platform. I mean, she thought that's funny. So, anybody have any questions? Just put them in capitals, and we'll just chat for a little bit before we get to rocking. I kind of want to start slow, get myself used to this. I kind of miss my rambling Jersey girl. Did I go off? What happened there? I was trying to make myself smaller. But, hey, Roger Blair, how are you today? And Edna, hello, dear. How are you? Good news yet? You're another one I keep in my thoughts quite a bit. Yes, YouTube is just a darling thing. Yeah, I'm gonna, as time goes through, I think I'm gonna try to get some of Gemma's older stuff on some of the other platforms and see how they do. Dogs in the shop. It'll get wet. But I figured here in give it till about 15, 20 after, and maybe I'll go into a story and tell you one of my good ones since you guys want to hear a ghost story. I used to, I don't know how many of you know of Athens University in Southern Ohio. So what it'd be East Southern Ohio. It's got quite a bit of a history, and we used to go down there for the Halloween parties, crazy stuff. But we also go down during the summer, and then you could rent cabins, and we'd go driving around in the country roads, see what we could find, get ourselves into for the weekend. We did that probably about once a month. I've been all over this state. Every weekend from time I was 15 to probably about 21, almost every one weekend a month, we would take off and just drive somewhere around in Ohio. So me and the man were just talking about Ohio. Ohio's an interesting state, but all these states have very interesting stories. I just know a lot about Ohio because I live Ohio. People make fun of us, but I have a good time here. Life is good here. Well, considering the times, life is good. But we used to go down to Athens, down to Logan, Ohio, where Old Man Caves are at. And I bring up the rake a lot, and that's because I've seen what would probably be called a rake a number of times, especially down in that area. And once it was up in northwest Ohio. What do you think is the spookiest state? That's a good question. Next to Salem, only because of the history, maybe Boston. Some of the older colonies would probably be pretty well lit, as one might say. Well, hello, Jules. But yeah, I Ohio's spooky, but man, there's some states out there. So I really couldn't pick one, but I would pick any of the old colony states. Hoping what were real. No, see, I have seen my share of breaks. That's what I call them. I know it's part of the creepy pasta deal, but when I first saw that creepy pasta and read it for the first time, I was like, dudes, this shit's been around for a while. Oh, pardon my language. This crap has been around for a while. Hi, Cal. Mr. Snyder, how are you? What's up? But yeah, I have to watch my language. I can slip sometimes. But yeah, I would say one of the colony states along the East Coast, maybe the West Coast. Now, when you get into like the Nevada area and along the desert areas and Arizona and New Mexico, they're rich with history too. So, I mean, I guess everybody would pick one state. I couldn't do that. Anything else? Behold, hey, Mike. Hey, Mike, I didn't mean to upset you the other day. I just try to watch for Gemma. Sometimes things get carried away, and I wasn't sure about this guy. I knew he was in and out. I have seen him before, but I didn't want to push anybody's buttons. Hey, good. Working away, huh? Anybody else? What we got here? We're about 11 minutes in. I'm trying to think of things. I was going to bring a presentation, but I'm going to save that because I have, like I said, I'm going to ask a question later before I leave and see what some of you people think. And we'll go from there. Everybody's throwing the bacon around again. It ain't no wonder everybody leaves these streams hungry. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and start a story. And I'm going to talk about a time that we went down to Athens. We didn't go to the campus, but we did hang around the town a little bit. Basically, his campus, but we didn't stay in there very long. We had rented a cabin. It was about 1978. So we were down there hanging out, having a good time. What we do is we would just jump in the car and just start driving around on the back roads. Back then, you didn't have GPS, so you had to kind of have a map with you, which sucked because everybody was unfolding the map. But we would drive around, just look for old places, weird places to check out. And we had stumbled across this old farmhouse. Now, there was a no trespassing sign on the front gate. So there was like a little gas station up the road. So we went up to the gas station and a guy was actually there. And we asked him about the property. And he told us that it was his and we could go and check it out. Now, we don't know if it was really his or not. We never got bothered, but we stopped and checked the place out. This was probably by this time, about 2:00 in the afternoon. And it was an old farmhouse, a 2-story house, standard wraparound porch. Actually, I was shocked there was nothing in it. It's usually fine furniture and stuff. It was barren, completely barren. It was pretty run down, but pretty sturdy. I mean, we were able to walk around on the top floor without worry, as one might say. And we spent about an hour in there and trying to decide if we wanted to come back during the night. Nope, no Gemma tonight, Mike. I'm a solo act tonight. No, we thought we'd try something new. But anyways, we decided to come back at night. And we did. We got there about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And wandered around, went inside, didn't have much happen. But it was coming out of the house. I had turned around and had this weird feeling. I didn't get the feeling of being watched until we were leaving. And we mostly just stood around the house, talked, kind of just surveyed the property. Not really anything to rummage around in. So we were leaving. And that's when I started getting the feeling that we were being watched. Or apparently, one of the girls we were with had the same impression because we both turned around and looked behind us at the same time. And she goes, "You felt that too?" And I said, "Yeah, it was weird." And she goes, "Look." And inside the door, you could see a person standing. It kind of like it stepped out of the door, and the other three people turned around and they were like, "Is there somebody in the house?" So we were all seeing it. And I said, "I don't think so. We were just in there. There was nothing there." And it took another step out onto the porch, and you could make out, we couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman, but it was definitely human. And as it took another step toward the steps to the porch, it just disappeared. We all just kind of freaked out. And then they're like, "No way, that didn't just happen. That just didn't happen." And so we decided to go, we kind of talked about it. In those days, you don't carry cameras and stuff like that. You just do things. And so we decided to go back the next night. And we went back the next night. And instead of going in, we just set up lawn chairs and just sat in front of the house and talked. Um, and every so often, you would hear voices, and we would take turns getting up to go look inside the house. And nobody ever found anybody, but you could hear people talking coming from the house. Or again, as we were getting ready to leave for the night, that's when the same girl that saw with the night before said, "Do you get that feeling again?" I said, "Yeah." And we turned around, and that same shadow did the exact same thing. It came out the door. Everybody saw it. Everybody witnessed it. Took about 2 steps, went to step off the porch, and gone. And I haven't been back there since. I'd like to go back and see if I can find the place, because you go running around these back roads, it's easy to get confused. The shadow knows. Yes, the shadow does know. That used to be the movie sucked. That was Alec Baldwin. Could have been so much better. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Residual ghost. It acted. We were all kind of saying the same thing. It was like, daily activities going on. It was weird, but it was kind of cool. I just really wish that, you know, we had camcorder and stuff with us at the time, because I'd love to have that on tape. But when you're kids, you just do things. And then we went down again for Halloween that fall, and that was an interesting night. Campus is sprawled out pretty interesting. I don't know if anybody has told anybody, but if you take an aerial view of Athens University, it actually is a pentagram. All the main buildings are set up in a pentagram. There's even, if you watch, there's even a circle that goes around it. They can actually turn off the lights to make it look like that, which is really weird and it's freaky when they do it. Hi, Divine. How are you? But yeah, we went down there one Halloween, and during the day, they give a tour of one of the dorms. There, one of the, I believe at the time it was a girls' dorm. Um, there was a girl that lived in one of the that was in one of the dorm rooms. Um, she was kind of a loner. The story is she was a loner. Got into black magic. People saying that she was trying to summon things in her room, where they had found her dead. Um, so time goes by. Every student that got stuck in that room asked to leave within a week. They would hear stuff, see stuff. They would swear that there was somebody standing in the room with them at night. So they end up turning the room into a heater room. So they end up putting a furnace in there and stuff so nobody could rent the room. They say if you go to the door, they have like a wood door on it. It looks like a demon on the front of it. It actually does look like a demon, but who knows? But the stories are prominent. Well, while we were doing the tour, a gentleman that was with the tour, and he was an older guy, kept saying, "Who's the girl standing on the stairs? Every time we pass the stairs, there's a girl there." And nobody thought about it. Maybe it's just a student or something. Well, on our way back through, I saw her standing there, and it was just a shadow. It wasn't even a person. It was just a solid black shadow. It just stood there. I don't know if anybody else other than that guy was seeing it, but I definitely saw it on our way out. It was kind of creepy. Any questions? Should I keep going? What do I do? Mike J. Yep. Trying to read. You calling me a stick figure? Hey, Mike. What are you calling people stick figures for? Where is Roberts? I thought I saw him come in too. Did he come in and say hi and bye? Or did he make it not back in? Um, talk to me, folks. What is a rake? Rake is kind of like what Gemma showed in her last video. It's the creepers. Um, they're usually long, pale, or white. They got long legs. They got long. The arms are real long. The fingers are long. They're real thin. They kind of crawl around. They have really no facial features. Usually, they have black eyes, sharp teeth. Um, they're so pale. Some say they see ears. Some say they don't. The ones I've seen never had ears. They were just like a head and just like a nose, and then these weird features. But they were always white. They always seemed to crawl around on all fours. You'll hear different descriptions. Well, I always got more. I mean, I can keep going. I think as time goes by, I may start telling stories from when I started really seeing stuff. So you guys get an idea of the variety of crap I've seen through the years. I'm just kind of seeing how the night flows first before I make any decisions. Are they dangerous? Now, see, the ones I've seen, I would have considered, yeah, if they would have grabbed a hold of you, you might not have just disappeared. Um, there's mixed opinions, but personally, the ones I've seen, I don't think I'd want to mess with. Some people say they're demons. Some people, hello, Miss Pixie. Um, yeah, I will as time goes by. We'll see how it goes. Um, but rakes are interesting to me. They're kind of like skinwalkers, and oh my gosh, now I came to a complete blank. Uh, any positive ghost stories? Actually, yes. I had a dear friend of mine. Um, First of all, folks, you got to understand what I see either is things that are going on in front of me. I never am very, very rarely directly involved in a lot of the things that I've seen. It's either seeing it or nowadays, since I've gotten older, it's usually something I see following somebody else, or I'll go somewhere and see something kind of hanging out in that space. But as for me having personal contact, it's pretty rare. The only things that I'm going to tell a little interesting story later about something that happened to me actually this morning while I was at the doctor's office. So one of my doctors is actually at the hospital, and I always have fun at a hospital. But anyways, this dear friend of mine, her husband had passed away not too long ago. This is recent. Um, he was a quiet guy. Chuck was a good man. Um, I don't, you want to talk that stuff, you talk it with Gemma, but usually I feel if people have something to say, they come back, say it. Other than that, if somebody's walking this earth, they either choose to or they got unfinished business. Yes, rakes do. I kind of think rakes and ghouls are kind of the same thing. They're kind of in that same family. But anyways, he had passed, and months had gone by, months. And I get a phone call, and it's Sherry, and she's crying. I said, "What's the matter?" And she goes, "I just got a phone call." I said, "Yeah? Well, what about?" And he goes, "It was Chuck." I said, "What?" And she said, "It was Chuck. It was from his number. His phone's in the drawer." SIM card, I even took the SIM card out of it. I'm like, what? She said, yeah, he called and told me I was okay. He said, you'll be fine. So I'm watching. I love you. And he hung up. That brought tears to my eyes. And I've got a couple other ones like that. Yeah, they had been together. They were one of those people they met very young and just stayed together. You never saw them apart. They were always together. Um, had a friend, another friend. Um, he had a white lab, beautiful dog, just a beautiful dog. Old dog, very gracious dog. Yeah, he kind of like you're just everyday, you know, your everyday dog, but he was cool. Dan was rather attached to him, and when he had to put him down, it tore him up. So he immediately went and got a puppy, and this puppy was weird. This puppy ended up acting just like Cruiser. Um, but he was laying in bed one day, and he was, I think he said he was sick, and he watched Cruiser 2, is what he called him, come in and sit down on the edge of the bed. And he's a big dog, so a dog, big old dog sitting, and he swears he saw Cruiser 1 come up and sit on the other end of the bed, right beside him. He said he had sat there for about an hour and didn't say nothing. They just kind of sat there and they all looked at each other. He said he turned his head after that and he was gone. It was kind of nice. Anybody have any questions? My thoughts, my opinions? Can I tell the future? You don't want to see you don't want to hear about the futures, the visions I have had in the past. I've seen some pretty horrible stuff. And I get visions in the day sometimes too. When I'm wide awake, I'll see something that was like, holy crap. Now, ghost stories are good stories. I like the cryptic stories too, because I've had a lot of those. Um, had a guy who had seen this strange creature. See, that's the thing. When you travel around, I tried. I've traveled around when we travel around Ohio. I'm the kind of guy that asks for stories. If we're sitting in a diner or something, I'll ask, anybody got any good stories about the town and stuff? And usually some people um, will come right out and come up to you and start telling you stories. But this one guy told us a story. We were at a truck stop. That guy, he had a heck of a story. Um, they apparently was sitting at a truck stop out west. He didn't go into detail. He didn't really want to talk about the truck stop. But he said he kept seeing a headless man coming out of the truck stop area, out of the showers. Every time he went there, and he said it freaked him out. He said there was never anybody at this particular truck stop. He said there might be one or two trucks and they don't stick around. He said he stayed one night there and he would never do it again. I don't know. He said he didn't even know how people worked there. It was that creepy. I wish Andrew was in here because I'm sure he's run through some truck areas that they're kind of creepy. Yeah, local diners are the best place to go to get stories, especially in small towns. Some of the stories have been told me are just insane. I actually heard a story kind of like Children of the Corn. It wasn't as crazy as that, but apparently there were some orphan children that had run away from the orphanage, and they are actually living in the cornfields. And I guess it took them like 4 years to finally catch them, finally find them. And I mean, that's how well hidden they were. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he has. He's been around, he comes through here. I might like to catch him next time he comes through. Where are you? Try not to keep dead air. But let's see. Anybody else? Anybody got a question? Anybody would like to know my opinion? Which is not very good. I think my dog messed up my bed again. Um, I'm picky. My I'd say my most interesting moment in life was the demon encounter that Gemma told in one of her encounter stories. Actually, that encounter was probably in the making of about 4 months. I had lived in the building by myself because there's four buildings. There was four apartments. It's just a big square brick building. Oh, excuse me. And I lived in like a bottom one. I mean, you could literally put my hand out the window and touch the ground because it stopped right there. But there was four apartments. That building was creepy. All those buildings, actually, that whole area is kind of creepy because it sits right next to the cemetery that I grew up playing in. I could literally jump the fence, walk down the road a little bit in the cemetery, and I'd be right at my front door. um, but that incident leading up to that demon encounter was creepy because I should have seen the signs because stuff wasn't just happening in that building. There was a lot of crazy stuff that happened in that particular apartment complex that are in the line of apartment complexes that go down to the river there. And I mean, everybody sees they see stuff all the time, but I think it's more the area than it is the cemetery. I've only known, other than seeing people seeing John, who was the old caretaker for the cemetery. He would ride. He was a drinker, and he would ride his after work. He'd ride his bike up to the bar, and then he'd walk it home. And people have either seen him riding up and fade as he goes up the street, or coming walking the bike back to the cemetery. It's usually late night, about bar closing time too. Which experience that got me the most? And um, I'd say the demon and the hat man probably bothered me the most because the fear lasted a while. The hat man was when I was in elementary school. Um, that really scared the crap out of me. I mean, but the demon counter after that incident happened, I literally locked myself in an apartment for 3 months. Um, I literally ordered food. I had people come and check on me, make sure I was okay. But yeah, I wouldn't leave. It kind of creeped me out because the thing that I saw was just it was just so evil, so disgusting, so just vile that it really played a big influence on me, making myself more aware of demonology, of what is really around us spiritually. Did the Hat Man come to you a lot? No, the Hat Man incident happened in elementary school. I had witnessed this thing, this shadow, through the school year, the fifth grade. And we were on the top. There's a two-story school building. There were rooms on top and rooms on the bottom. And I was coming up. Actually, it was the first day of fifth grade. I, and everybody knew the teacher. It was type. It was small enough that all the kids knew who all the teachers were and stuff. So I already knew who my teacher for fifth grade was. I was coming up the stairs, and a male teacher. I don't like giving names because it was kind of a sad story. Um, was coming up in front of come up and pass me as I was going up the stairs. The stairs that go up, and then another stair goes like this, and you go up. And as I turned the step, I noticed the shadow standing behind him. It wasn't on the ground; it was standing behind him. And I'm like, "What the hell?" In fact, when he came off the steps, he turned to go down to his classroom, and I was so caught up in watching the shadow. The fifth grade door was like right here, and there's a wall. I literally walked right into the wall. I mean, I knocked myself silly. And I asked the teacher, I'm like, I'm sitting trying to get up, and the teacher, oh, are you okay? I said, I'm fine, I'm fine. said, did you see that? That guy's shadow was following him. And she's like, what? I said, that guy's shadow was following him. She goes, shadow on the ground? I go, no, it was standing behind him. He said, man, you must have hit yourself hard, Steve. You need some ice? I said, no, don't worry about it. So I went to class, didn't think about it. And then as time, the next couple of days rolled, I'd see it, but I wouldn't see it very clearly. And then there were some days he would like walk past our open door and I could see it clear as day, but I couldn't see the hat. I'll tell you when the hat comes in later. And hi, Monica. I'm sorry I didn't see you sneak in. Um, well, time goes by. I started to avoid this guy because it kind of creeped me out. I didn't understand it. And time went by. I think it was spring break. Yeah, it was spring break. Now you have to understand, I have a movement disorder, so I rock in my sleep. I don't sleep. I break beds. It's horrible. And I was really bad when I was young. Well, it was like I believe it was the last day of school before spring break. You know, everybody screws around that day. And we had come in from recess, from our last recess of the day. And I'm standing just inside the doorway. I was talking to a friend. And I look up and the teacher walks by. But the shadow that followed him stopped. And as I looked, it turned and it looked at me. I could tell it was looking. That's when I realized it had a brim hat, just a solid brim hat on. And it kind of shaped in more of a human looking. It was real tall, and then a hat, but I couldn't see no face, no eyes, no nothing. And then it smiled. When it smiled is what creeped me out because it was one of these really big smiles and it had spiky teeth. That's the last thing I remember. And then I remember the teacher holding me and I was tucked up in a corner and she said, what's wrong? Why are you crying? I said, did you see it? Did you see it? And she said, what? I go, I want to go home. I want to go home. And they said I passed out. I don't remember. Next thing I know, I'm in the car with Dad. And he's taking me home. Now, Mom had to call Dad from work to come get me, so he was already kind of unhappy. But he also got out of work early, so he doesn't really complain. And we're going home, and he asked me what happened. I told him exactly what I saw. And he kind of looked at me and goes, Steve, you don't sleep. You rock all night. You're in constant motion. Your body's so tired. I'm sure you hallucinate stuff all the time. Let's go home. This spring break, all you're going to do is stay home. No playing, no nothing. I want you to rest. If you want to play, you play by yourself in the backyard. Those were always interesting days too. And that's how it was. I went back to school after spring break. I didn't see it. And then about 3 weeks into that, I started seeing it again, following him again. I totally avoided the teacher when he'd come and talk to, us group of kids when we're on recess and stuff. I just kind of wouldn't make eye contact. And there was times I wanted to tell him, what is this thing with a hat following you? School year ended. I didn't take any more. Summer came along. I didn't take any more. Well, the following school year in sixth grade, he was one of the sixth grade teachers. And I asked, I saw another teacher go into his classroom and I asked, I said, where's he at? And did he change schools? Because, they switch and stuff and move up. And for some weird reason, I don't know why they just straight out said this, but the one teacher, my last year's teacher, goes, no, Steve, he passed away over the summer. And I'm like, that's a weird thing to tell a kid. But she was real nice about it. She goes, he passed away, he had a stroke. And still to this day, I wonder if that's why. I feel like I should have told him. But it bothered me for a long time because I felt like I could have warned him. But as a child, what do you say to a person, somebody like that? Hey, just a stick-looking guy with a hat on. following you around. Are you okay? What do you think of that? But yeah, that was one of the times. And then the demon really stuck with me for a long time. I still have nightmares about it every so often when I do sleep. um, Other than that, just crazy stuff. Now, see, like I said lately, the craziest things I'm seeing now, because believe it or not, I'm always on the go. I'm run. Oh, hi, Blue Crossroads. I'm always on the run, especially being in a hotel. We kind of live day to day by crude as we need it. Sorry, I'm foaming at the mouth. Um, and So I'm always on the move. So I'm always out in the public. Now everybody goes, "Oh, Steve, you can shut this off." No, I don't want to shut it off. I'm not supposed to. Now, see, it's weird because I can't shut that. No matter how much I try, I can't stop seeing this stuff. But it's really easy to block out people. I can. I seem to know if somebody's trying to get in my head or get a little newsy. I can pretty much block that. But when it comes to these things, everything I've tried doesn't happen. Now I'm rambling. Hey, do I sound like Jamma now? I miss her. I miss her rambling. So how's everybody? How you doing, Blue? So how's everybody doing? I never really did ask that. Everybody good tonight? Everybody having a wonderful evening? Are you enjoying me rambling? Anything else? I don't want to. I don't want to tell too much because I kind of like to make this stretch out over time, if possible. She's bathing with Squatch. Smoochy, smoochy, smoochy. You guys talk about hunting mushrooms and stuff, and I know mushrooms are really good for you. Um, Here's the thing: even the trippy mushrooms, I never got off on them. Never affected me. I've tried a number of times, never got off. But when it comes to eating them as food, it's really weird. I love cooking them. I worked in a restaurant. We'd saute mushrooms, all different types of mushrooms, and I'd love the smell of it. But every time I eat them, I get sick. Every time. Yeah, I know you do. We actually have friends. My dad's from Chillicothe, Ohio, and they go up into the Tecumseh Mountains and those areas and mushroom hunt. We used to do it every year. We'd go down there and they'd all come back with a handful of mushrooms and make stews and stuff. I just couldn't eat them because while they were doing that, I was looking for salamanders and frogs and actually got bit by a copperhead once. That was fun. I never had people freak out before. But they freaked out when I got bit. Yeah, I hear they are really easy to grow. They're really good for you too. So it kind of sucks that there is one particular mushroom I do want to try because it has really super health benefits to it, and that's line main mushroom. I hear those are like really good for neurological issues and stuff like that. I want to try to get a hold of that and at least try that, and hopefully I don't get sick. Yeah, copperheads are no joke. Um, Actually, these guys are real prepared when they go mushroom hunting. One had a gun. Actually, a couple of them had guns, um, and uh, and then actually they carry a snake kit with them. So I was all good. I got a little sick for a day or two, but they did a good job. They saved my butt. They bit me right on the back of the leg. That's what I get for rolling logs. I should know better, huh? Catch and kill around here, huh? See, now I have what they call, you're talking about acid reflux. See, I have what they call Barrett's esophagus, which is a form of cancer, actually. Um, and on top of that, the valve doesn't close. So I get acid reflux like super, super bad. I mean, I drink water, I would get it, but I'm on pretty good medicine now. So I like it. I pretty much eat what I want now. It's what I miss, Jules. Yeah, smoking doesn't help. Nope, it doesn't. And I've actually cut back since I've been in the hotel. So I've been trying to wean myself off of it. I don't have problems with spider and snakes. That ain't what it takes to love me. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Now, see, my dad's family were big mushroom connoisseurs. I mean, and the stuff they made always smelled good, but every time I tried to eat mushrooms, I always got sick. Ghost sings too. It's from hanging around with Gemma. She actually caught me one time before stream singing Pink Floyd. I thought I was a scare her. Yeah, true. Um, see what else can I see? Can't stand pigeon rat. You know, pigeons are pretty gross animals. Um, they're almost as bad as vultures. Um, Actually, what's really weird about July here in Ohio and where I'm at, it seems like the parking lots fill up with gulls. I want to call them seagulls, but the white gulls. I don't know why they do, but always about end of July, beginning of August. It's like every parking lot you go to, there's like hundreds of them. Yeah, vultures are great parents. Yes, they are. Let's see. Let's see if I can give you another good. Um, now, see, when it comes, I've seen UFOs. Um, what I call UFOs. They call them AUPs or UAPs now. They're still UFOs to me. Um, a lot of the ones I've seen over the years, I've never seen the triangle trap. I've either seen the orbs or the TikToks. I call TikToks, Tic Tacs. Um, I've seen one that looked like a cigar. Man, it was huge. Um, when we were up at Lake Erie once, looked like a smaller cigar one. We actually like watched it go into the water. It was pretty funny because we were on one of those jet boats and we were going pretty good. And you should have seen the cameras going off. And I wonder to this day if any of those pictures caught that sucker because it was moving fast. I mean, you actually see the water go and it was gone. Um, so I've seen a few weird stuff in that. I always say I've seen UFOs, but I don't think I've ever been abducted. I I have a story that goes back when I went to Colorado around the Rio Grande area for church when I was like I think 13, 14 years old. It was after my hair had turned white. And hey Twaz, how are you? Twaz, good to see you. I hope you're well. And I wandered away from the church group and started walking down this dirt road. Turned out I was gone for 5 hours. Nobody even knew I was gone. I'd hate to have them leave and me never come back and them leave and go and my mom and dad standing at the airport going, "Where's our son?" Who? Steve was with. I could have seen that happen. I would. So I kind of wonder about that one incident because that 5 hours went fast. And all I was doing was walking. I just saw the mountains and started walking toward the mountains. It was beautiful. All I wanted to do was go to the mountains. I like my turtlenecks. Now this is not a true turtleneck though. And as for anything else, now we have when we were in Florida, we saw lights way out in the distance, but we couldn't tell if it was a boat or not. The only reason I think it was a UFO is because it did kind of look a lot higher than it should have been off the water. Do you think some cryptids are real animals and not paranormal squash man? You know, that is actually a good question because we are discovering new species every day. Every day. I believe in I want to say South America or in Africa somewhere. They just discovered these black and yellow. They look like they're about the size of house cats living in the jungle. They've never seen them before. And they all have these. They're all black with these yellow splotches. I'll have to see if I can find the picture that my son showed me because he knows I'm into that stuff. But yeah, they're constantly finding new species every day. So you never know. It's like they talk about um, the goat sucker. Excuse me, I might lost words today. What do they call that thing? Somebody help me here. Um, the big thing down Chippewa. Yeah, yeah, go Spoochie. You can say it. You write it better than I can say it. A lot of people believe that's an actual species, maybe some kind of off-bred or crossbred animal. But see, it goes back a long time too. Dragons, you are running the show perfectly fine. Oh, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys showing up. Listen to me ramble for change. Now, if this works out, I do have plans for the future where I'll show you some of the stuff that I really delve into. I'm really big on biblical stuff, but I'm even more big on history because, folks, we have been lied about our history. You're going to find out as time comes that the people before us, before the flood, and the flood may not have happened as long ago as everybody thinks, they were way more advanced than we think. They had to have been way more advanced. Anyways, that's a whole different topic for another day. Because I can really get into that because I do a lot of what I call it forbidden history, or I still like calling it forbidden history because they don't want us to know about it, or hidden history. There's a lot of stage. Some of my research actually ends up than when I was doing. I don't do it anymore. I retired from doing research because it just got, especially now since the fire. I'm living in a hotel. A lot of stuff I researched was about technology of the past, things that we have found, giants, Nephilim, the knowledge they had given us. So those are the stuff. A lot of that stuff shows up. If any of you know what Telegram is, a lot of my stuff ends up in there. You'll see it in there. Though you won't know it's my stuff because I keep it well hidden. They know where they get it, and that's it. Aram Hancock, yep. A lot of the history is just amazing, and the history they don't tell us. And believe me, they know. They may not know as much as They may know a little bit more than we do. Let's put it that way. They're still discovering stuff. Forbidden history. Yeah, I like calling it that because there are some things they really don't want us to know. And now that people are waking up, they're starting to get a little worried. Don't. Trying to read chat and gab at the same time. And Ralph, I saw you sneak in. Hey, how you doing, man? Love the family pics, man. Have Telegram and watch what you like. You'll have to message me your username. Actually, I don't have a username notice. That's the catch. I What I do is I get paid to do research for people. I go do stuff, go hang out at the library, do a little digging here and there, and then I find out the topic they want to research, want me to do, and I do it all. I put it on a USB port and send it to them, and then they just use it um, in their stuff. Um, because I know that one guy that uses a lot of my stuff also has other researchers, so there's more than one of me out there. Actually, you see a lot of my stuff. There's a gentleman. I don't even think he knows that he uses quite a bit of the stuff that I do for other people. And his channel is Everything Inside Me. A lot of his stuff, because he gets a lot of his stuff from Telegram, and he has a Telegram channel. Um, is research that I've done, especially a lot about the Nephilim and the giant stuff. There's a lot of my research. I like the Nephilim. giants. They're still walking this earth. Let's just put it that way, as I like to say. Anything else, folks? Anybody want to know anything? I can tell another story. We can go for another 5 minutes. I can call it a night. It's all up to you, folks. Talk to me. Say something. Somebody give me an answer. I'm trying to let you guys run tonight because I think next time I do this, I'm going to have some things. Actually, this everything inside me, I have permission, and his stuff is what he calls free to all stuff. But I'm going to talk to him, make sure everything's good. There are some of his videos that I've done. No, I haven't done, but he uses and I know it's my research because I know the subjects that he's doing. I would like to talk about some of the stuff he talks about on there. Just bring you just like something if you're interested in that. If not, I'm trying to figure out StreamYard a little better so we can maybe show ghost videos and stuff. Keep going. This would be a good time. Now that's going on 9 o'clock. I'm thinking about. I don't sleep at night, folks. And this time of evening, especially living in a hotel, when I'm done here, the first thing I got to do is go let a dog out so he can go to the bathroom. That's why a lot of times you see me book right away is I'm just trying to get the dog out. But even after we get home, I don't sleep at night. I know there's a few of you that don't sleep at night. I am actually thinking about doing a midnight hour with Ghost Dragons. Would anybody be up for that? And then I can do more stuff. And if Gemma gives me the okay that way, if people tip, if they don't tip, I'd like to see her get the tips because this is one of the reasons why I'm doing it on her channel. I think it'd be fun. I can get a little more subject. And I wouldn't feel like I'm being rushed for time because I don't sleep. I start about midnight, go until everybody either falls asleep or says they're done for the night. Because I that's me. I don't sleep. I might as well do something. Usually at that time, that's when I'm doing my research. So, and I don't do that anymore. So it will give me some time to spill. You know what I'm saying? Yes, Midnight with Dragons. Yeah. See, I was thinking that'd be cool too. Because I really want to help Gemma bring in some revenue. So I think that'd be fun for her. And she can come in whenever she wants. If she's up and lazing around and wants to say hi, she come in and say hi. I saw her earlier. She had extra long fingernails. I didn't want her to scratch me. But yeah, I was thinking about doing something like that. And then if Gemma and Pixie want to do their Thursday night thing every other Thursday, and she had offered Pixie to have, an hour, then, get her kind of rolling, something we can all talk about. But I really would like to do a midnight show since I'm up. It might be kind of fun to keep me busy. I'd try to be a little bit more prepared than I was tonight. So if everybody's up to that, maybe I'll talk to Gemma about it and go from there because, I like that better. See, at that late at night, I'm not pressed for time and I'm up. I might as well enjoy myself, do the thing I like to do. And instead, and I even thought about maybe doing research with you guys at that time too. There's things I could show you how to go and find out stuff and, where the best places are to look if you want answers. And we can make it like that. Tell ghost stories. Actually, hopefully by the time I'm home, I can get the rest of my notebooks. Some stories I wrote down, some I didn't. Some I will never forget, so I always have them in the back of my head. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. But I know, that's what replay's for. So, Lotus, that's fine with me. But yeah, I'm up. I know there's other people that hang out look for chats that late at night, talk about stuff. And I try to keep it still in that paranormal. To me, when you say paranormal, I think you mean UFOs, cryptids, anything that can't be explained by science yet. To me, that's the paranormal, the unlogical, the stuff that you go, huh? there, there are questions I would ask you which might not necessarily fit with Gemma's format. Then that's true. Now, I try to be careful because, see, I am streaming on her channel. So I have to be careful about the subjects because they do crack down. Um, but if we keep them, light, like I say, light and airy, we could, at least just get discussions going. Um, I, never a big deal with me. I'm usually, you get me going, I get to gabbing pretty good as long as my voice holds out. Um, I do pretty good. What's the most horrible experience with the paranormal ghost dragon? What's your? I would reiterate the demon that that was what and Hat Man, but there are little ones that happen through my life too. Now we're in the show with this. Here's one for a good example to kind of really create. It wasn't horrible, but it creeps me out because it happens a lot when I go to the hospital. Now, some of you may know that I have a habit of seeing black-eyed kids at the hospital. I see a particular one majority of the time. He's about, if you put an age on him, I'd say you'd be between 12 and 14. He's probably, you know, I'm trying to figure out a height. Average for a kid that age, preteen, whatever you want to call him. Thing is, and it always cracks me up. This is the one thing that gets me. He's always wearing blue jean overalls and a red and white striped shirt. He always reminds me of a creepy version of Dennis the Menace. He's white as a ghost, very solid black eyes. Doesn't smile much. I have seen him smile, and that's creepy in itself. I don't think he's noticed me, but I seem to notice him. I had an appointment today, and I went to the hospital to go see the neurologist that we meet every couple of weeks for certain reasons. And as I was leaving the office and walking down the hallway, when you walk down his office, out of his office, you go by the open area, like the commons area, and then there's like a little cafe. And I'm coming through there, and I see him standing against the wall on the far right side. As I'm coming around, he's over here, and I'm coming through. I just catch him out of the corner of my eye. He's not looking at me, but I see him. He appears to be watching a elderly gentleman in a wheelchair with a family. So I kind of slowed down. I said, I'm going to try to get closer. So I got a little closer, but every time I get closer, he seemed to go farther away. So maybe he knew I was there. I don't know, but he never gave me the impression I know he's there, because majority of the time, I don't think he knows I'm there. But I can't say for sure. It was weird. So I just sat down and watched him for a while. Well, then he starts walking. He walks away from them and starts out of the common areas back in toward the hospital, the main part of the hospital. So I get up and I decide to follow him. I followed this thing 3 floors for 20 minutes. It finally went to a place that I couldn't go. If I'd have walked in, I probably would have gotten in trouble. He went through the doors. It was weird because he stopped at the doors. And I think it was like, I'm not sure if it was like, the area was like a stock area or something. It just said no admittance. And there are cameras right there. And I'm like, I wonder if they see this on camera, because there's cameras everywhere. I wonder if anybody's ever caught that. I never had the guts to ask, hey, man, are you looking at your camera? Anyways, I did. I followed for this kid, for 20 minutes today. He got to that area and he went through those doors. He went to that area. He didn't open the doors. He just walked through the doors. I stood there and watched him through the little windows, walk down the hall, turn the corner, and I didn't see him anymore. And I couldn't believe I actually followed him for 20 minutes. It was weird because during that 20 minutes, he would stop at rooms and look in. Um, when I got up on the third floor, this lady, the nurse, come up to me and goes, "Can I help you, sir?" "Oh, I'm just looking for a friend. I think I might be lost." And I turned around and I lost him. But as I was going down the elevator, and I go, "I'll just stop at the second floor." So I stopped at the second floor, and he walked by, and he went to another room, and he stands in front of these rooms, and he just stands there, and it's real creepy. And I want to go closer, but every time I try to take closer steps toward it, I get just like don't interact kind of feeling. I get kind of like set back. So, but yeah, I did. I actually followed him today for 20 minutes. I hadn't seen him for a while, so when I saw him, it was like, I'm done. I got to figure out what the deal is on this. You know, I had somebody say that same thing and about waiting for death. It could be. Maybe it's just something I'm perceiving as looking like that. I don't know. Well, I wouldn't say I got second sight. A long time ago, I know you've heard me and Gemma talk about this, but I have been told that I am called a watcher observer. And I think there's a lot of reasons why I can't. Because, folks, I literally see something every day. There is not a day that goes by when I'm out in the public and I don't see at least one thing. I was told this when I was 17. I went to Penn State to see Lorraine Warren and her husband speak at a paranormal conference. When we had a meet and greet, a very small one, she didn't, as you know, she didn't mind talking to people, but because she picks up, she's pretty heavy. So she kept like, well, I was more interested in talking to Ed because I was more into demonology because this was before even the demon incident. But I had seen The Exorcist, and it intrigued me. So I wanted to ask him a couple questions. Well, as I got up to talk to Ed, Lorraine turned around and touched my shoulder and says, "You're special." And I went, "What?" She goes, "You see things, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I see stuff all the time ever since I was young." She goes, "You're not watching observer. You're very special. You're going to have things come and ask you questions." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Just be prepared. Life is not going to be easy." She said life was not going to be easy for you. She says you're going to have health issues. This is going to bring a kind of a heavy burden on you, but stay strong. I said, "Well, thanks." I'm kind of freaking out. And Ed looked at me and goes, "What is your deal? Why?" And the girl I was dating at the time, her dad, their mom and dad were divorced, and he was a professor there and knew I was into this stuff. So he had got me in to see it. But we talked for maybe 2 minutes about some personal stuff. I think that the girl I was dating at the time kind of learned a few things about me. I think that may be why she kind of got scared and ran. But they were very nice people. Then later on, it was probably my late 20s, just before I met my ex-wife. A bunch of us had gone to a circus, and there was your gypsy fortune teller. And when I'd walked in, she kind of looked at me and goes, "You don't belong here." And I went, "What?" She goes, "You don't belong here." And we're all looking at each other. I go, "Why do I not belong here?" And she goes, "You already see. You have a job to do. You need to go." And I was like, "Why?" And she goes, "I can't give you anything you already know." And I was like, "What?" And these guys are all freaking out, like, "What is going on?" So she actually made me step out of the tent, and she came out to me. And she says, "You're a watcher and observer." Said, "All you're supposed to do is take in information, what you see. And I bet you see a lot." I said, "Yeah, I do." She said, "You see a lot, don't you?" "Yeah, I do." She goes, I don't want you in here because you don't need to intrude on your friends. And I said, fine. And she went in, and instead of charging, I think she was charging like $30 a reading. She only charged them $5. They all came out like, what the hell just happened? And that was a weird time. And then I had another personality, a famous person, say the same thing. Andrew, there you are. I thought I saw you in here. Yeah, yeah. I look for gnomes everywhere, Andrew. I have my gnome basher, so be careful. You can't hide in that gnome mobile. Hey, Cat, didn't even see you come in, or did you just come in? But yeah, and so I don't try. It's hard for me. I've tried everything to block this. You believe me, I've tried everything from acupuncture, everything. I mean, just to stop, to give me a day of rest. But this is why I think at a very young age, between that and the rocking, that I was able to not really learn how to astral project. Now it's harder now for me to do it. I guess it's because my mind is always racing because of everything that goes on around me. But probably about once a month to every couple months, I'm able to pull it off. It's usually the one time I get a really good night. Well, my brain gets a good night's rest. Larry and Root. So am I missing something? So I'm gabbing. I'm not really paying attention to chat. Hey, Bat Mom. See, people are sneaking in and I'm not saying hi. Um, do you have any Celtic bloodlines that you know of? Actually, I'm a really big mix, but from what we understand, a lot of my heritage is Viking heritage, a mix of Norwegian, uh, Swedish, not Swedish, Norwegian, Irish later on in the years. There's a mix of some Scott in us. Yeah, but from what I understand, uh, the family goes all the way back to a family, a Viking kind of lineage. I don't take DNA tests. They have enough of my DNA at the hospital. But I'm just going by what I've learned. Um, both my mom and my dad's side of family are all from the Appalachian Mountains. So, hey, New England, how you doing? No, you didn't miss it. Gemma's just not here, but I'm here. I'm not. I'm going to go as long as people want me to hang out. Like I said, when I'm done with this, the first thing I do is take the dog out. So, and if you guys are really up to a midnight show, let me talk to Gemma about it, and maybe we can pull something off. Because I see, to me, other than Wednesday nights, I like Mondays afternoons with her, the every other Mondays, because we have a good time. The last couple times we did a show, it was nice, especially after she did the one video, and then we did the show right after that. That was a great stream. I really enjoyed that stream. It was so much fun. Um, and then like on Wednesday nights, it's her show. I let her talk. If I interrupt, I always do. I do feel bad when I interrupt her or something. It's because she gets in the flow. I get that. And speaking of which, now remember, guys, she's got some great spiritual helper boxes, and I love her sprays. She always sends me a new one. It's always good. I like the roll-ons too. Here she sent me some spiritual boxes. That's always really nice. It's actually kind of helped me with some things. Um, she sent me sage, and it was nice because before when we switched rooms, hotel rooms, because we were living in this little tiny handicap room, and we had to drive each other's nuts. Bless her heart, I had that sage she sent me. Before we came down here, I saged the room. Um, Once a week, I've been going and saging the house. I take it with me and sage the inside of the house while it's empty. And then when we move in again, I'll do it again. Um, Now, see, here's the funny thing. My family doesn't believe in a lot of this stuff. My dad is kind of a conspiracy guy. He does he'll when he was young. Well, I guess he would be because the first thing he handed me when I was about 10, 11 years old, 12, it was right before my hair turned white. He handed me a Bible and he handed me the book, The Chariot of the Gods. And that was actually a lot later in life. Uh, yeah, it was later because the book didn't come out until like what, mid 70s. Um, he handed me those two things, and it gave me a whole new perspective of things. Um, that's why I have certain feelings when it comes to talking about aliens. I'm part of a very small group. I don't know how small, but I'm sure there's a small group of us that believe that the aliens people see are minions to the fallen angels that were able to leave the earth before the great flood. But that's just me. Yeah, Charity of the Gods is a great book. It's a good read. It gets your mind thinking a little bit. Do you open all the doors and windows first? Uh, I do. It's always good to open a window, crack it, open a little door, because if there's anything in there, you want them to leave. And that's how you do it. Yeah, it's always a good idea. I think even Gemma would tell you that. It's always good to open a window or a door. I try to open something in each room just in case something. You don't want them stuck there because you can stick them there. Front door open. I figured you more of the back door. Smoochie. I'm being smart. Yes, I think I've heard of that channel. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name, but I think I've seen that channel before. Yeah, well, that's what you do. It's always good to open doors because what you're doing is trying to clear the area. If you don't open something up for them to leave or it to leave, you're just going to stick it there. That's the same thing when you salt. Before you salt, make sure you cleanse, make sure everything's open, and then when you shut everything, that's when you salt. And I always salt inside and outside. I'm trying to catch up on this crazy chat. You guys get to rambling worse than us. Yeah, I'm going to do that too when they finally give us one last okay that we can start moving stuff back in the house. I'm going to go in and cleanse again, really good. Then once we get the furniture in and before the first night we actually move in and the furniture, because you got to remember the furniture's all been sitting in a warehouse and stuff. Things detach themselves there too. So when they bring the furniture in and we get everything set up, before we actually come and spend our first night at home, I'll sage again with all the furniture in the house and make sure everything's cleansed. Because I live by a cemetery. Who knows what wanders in and out of my house? Do you see auras and spirits in people? I'm not like Gemma in that sense. I do see colors. Um, um, I get feelings. Sometimes I get colors around people. Um, Usually it's a feeling. I always say if you can't trust your gut, you can't trust nothing. And I have a really good, I get really good gut feelings. But I'm also one of these people that look at both sides. So, when I get that gut feeling, I want to make sure, I'm perceiving what I'm perceiving right. But no, I don't really see auroras around people like Gemma does. I'm more a feeling. Little secret. My thing is the eyes. I have two. I have two. Sometimes I have a hard time looking into people's eyes, and I have a hard time touching people. Now, when I touch people, it doesn't happen all the time, but probably 3 or 4 times out of 10 times I touch people, I can see their crap. I see everything. It's just like a big flash, and it comes big. So sometimes I'm very hesitant, and I usually get a feeling beforehand. But sometimes you got to shake somebody's hands, because I'm always a gentleman. I try to be a gentleman. Um, but yeah, I don't see or air or arrows or auroras like that around people. It's usually I touch them, and then I see. I have this thing about the eyes. When I look into a person's eyes, I get pretty much an instinct. I get an instant connection of what that person's usually about. Ghost Dragons, what do you feel or see with me? Or do you need to be around people? I usually need to be around people. Now, I have watched other streams and seen things in people's backgrounds. It's kind of hard sometimes not to say something because I don't just follow paranormal streams. I like a little bit of everything, history. I watch gaming channels. I'm a gamer. Um, and I've seen stuff in their streams. It's hard not to say something, but I said something once in a gaming stream I was watching, and I think the guy actually must have been feeling the same way because when he saw my comment, he said, "Yeah, I know. I get that feeling in this room all the time." And I put down later, it's standing in the corner watching you, and he didn't say anything else. He just kept playing games after that. Yeah, he was looked, and you could see him looking in the corner, but he definitely was feeling it. Never make Ghost Dragon mad. Actually, I do have a pretty bad temper. Not like I used to when I was a kid. When I was a kid, man. There was reasons why I got kind of into martial arts and Tai Chi, not only because of the movement disorder. I would get frustrated because it was always in motion. So I would have kind of an attitude sometimes. When you're in motion as much as I get some days, the pain can get the muscle cramp. I get muscle cramps and spasms too with that, and it can get you grouchy. But I've learned to temper that. And most people tell you now that get me mad takes a lot. You really have to cross a line to get me mad or hurt somebody. Ghost Dragon, do you ever have a doctor tell you we're on the spectrum? I think a lot of people who are told they are autistic. No. Um, no, I haven't had anybody tell me that. Um, when they just a few years back just try to come to the thing that maybe see they thought I had Parkinson's, but you don't have Parkinson's at 2 years old. Okay, that's like ultra rare. So they figured it was a form of Tourette's. And a lot of people don't know that Tourette's is a birth defect. You can have one person in a family have Tourette's and nobody else. It is considered a birth defect from what I've always understood. Now, I could be wrong. So if anybody knows more about Tourette's, and I've done my research, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Um, though I can't say it is. They believe I do. They believe it's a form of it. Um, the movement started when I was 2 years old at that developmental stage because that's when you start noticing the patterns and the things. A lot of people say they'll grow out of it. So a lot of kids will grow out of those tics and stuff during puberty. If you don't, and it becomes mine got worse. It really did get worse as I got older. Um, I was that kid that if you would probably thought I peed my bed because I'd go to sleepovers and I'd stay up all night because I didn't want anybody to see me rocking. Autism, when we start talking about those type of things, I think it's sad because these kids I know I used to work with autism kids. I don't think I ever have, been diagnosed with anything like that, but I've worked with kids like that. They're special. They're very special. I think not only is it a curse, it's a gift. Um, I've seen some pretty amazing kids, really amazing kids. Yeah, and I don't like working people in the eyes, but if I can't get a feeling for people, Iris, that's my first. That will be my last option is to gotta get a glimpse into their eyes. But yeah, most people fight you on it. Actually, you would probably have to kill me, Blue Cross Roads, if I touched you, because I think you would be one of those people that I would probably touch and see all kinds of stuff. My uncle Jim was a police officer for Chillicothe, and I touched him once. I never touched him again. I saw stuff. That man, I know that man saw stuff. There was a reason why he drank. Yeah, there was definitely a reason why he drank. Um, so yeah, you'd probably be one of those people that would probably kind of freak me out. When I met Gemma and touched her, it was hard because when I got out of the car, when I got there and we got out of the car and I got out of the car and she hugged me, it was kind of hard not to cry. God saw everything. I don't think she realizes that I did, but at that moment, I had to kind of step away and kind of, oh, I gotta get my stuff, try not to tear because I do. I literally see people's stuff. Not all the time, but quite a bit. You guys holding a conversation I can't keep up. You know, on that, so, I have caught people in the eye across the room and been able to pick on them. You know how you're standing and you glance at each other and that second look? Sometimes that's all it takes with me. Can you tell everything by touch sensory? Kind of at moments, yeah. I have days like that. And I think that's because I'm always in motion. Everything is, and I'm one of those guys that has to touch stuff anyways. When I'm being taught something, I have to be right there doing it while you're teaching me. Um, let's see. Hey, we're doing pretty good on time here. It's almost 9:30. Um, but yeah, let's get ready to wrap up here. I don't want to push my luck. Gemma get mad. No, I did. But it was so awesome you guys showed up. I'm so happy you all showed up. I didn't expect to turn out like this. So next time I will be more prepared, and we'll start off with a story, and then maybe some questions. Some of the people that wanted me to do this didn't show up tonight, but well, I'm sure they'll show up sooner or later through the time. Um, Monk, you know, I almost became a monk. Actually, I have an open invitation that if things are not what I want to be or where I want to be when my dad passes, because once my dad passes, all I have is my kids. Um, I have an open invitation to a monastery outside the country, and if things, if I'm not feeling it, that will probably be where I go. The nice thing about this monastery is I can come back and see my family and be a part of their lives too when I need to. Um, so it's really nice. Um, they have offered me a place of peace for when I need it. Oh, thank you. Um, don't tell Gemma, but this was a great fun. Thank you. Well, hopefully we'll get it going. Because I would like, Gemma, if Gemma can come in, would love to have her come in when she wants to hang out for a little bit. It's her channel. So this is all her, man. Uh, but we'll get things rolling. If you guys want to, I'll tell you what to do. Make sure you leave a like. And if you don't like it, don't like it. I'm good with that too. Make a comment. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you think about a midnight hour with Ghost Dragons. In the comments, I would appreciate that. It's also good for Gemma, for that algorithm to leave likes and comments. It helps her out. Don't here. Let me do this. She's got her 3 books, awesome books. I love them all. Get her if you don't have an autographed copy or all 3 of them. Please get them. Also, like I said, her spiritual herbal boxes were awesome. Her sprays are awesome. Her personal readings, she's given me a couple that have been very interesting, and then pretty much on the nose too. Um, you're much welcome. No, thank you so much, and thank Gemma for letting me do this because I kind of wanted to do it. And I've noticed over time people want to hear a little bit about how I ramble, and I can ramble when I want to. Um, First night, I didn't want to push my luck. Ghost Dragon, you have flashbacks if you touch me from all those fatalities I've seen. I don't know. That would be interesting. But I know people who would probably would. I Before I go, it was like when last Thursday Pixie offered to. She said she had some things she could tell me, and I told her I wasn't worried about it. I do have spiritual helpers. I have people. Let's be put this. I have a minister who's a friend because I almost became a minister. I have a lady who actually runs a Reiki shop, and she's into all this. She's kind of like Pixie and Gemma put in one person. I've known her since kindergarten. She's a sweet lady. She gives me advice when I need it and helps me do things that I need to have done to kind of clear my air. When I get an overload going, she's the one that helps me kind of get it out of me so I can move on to my next batch of downloads. Because it's amazing. The stuff I see is crazy. Because not only do I see people being followed by things, I see visions. Um, I've seen some weird stuff. I get things about people. I seem to know things that I shouldn't know, which happens a lot. Sometimes information comes out of my head and it's like, where the heck did that come from? So, but let's get this going. So I want to, leave a comment, support Gemma in any way you can. God love her. I love her to death. She brought me into her fold. She's a sweet lady, and I think a lot of her. A bit of Art Bell moment. I loved Art Bell. I really did. Have you been? Oh, you have been awesome, Ghostdragonzw. Oh, you're welcome. And folks, again, thank you so much for showing up. I totally appreciate it. Andrew, what'd you do? Andrew, you got to watch Andrew. He's a player. Be careful. He's a player. He's a trucking player. But I want to say goodnight to everybody. It was so good to have you. And hopefully we can get this going. And then please join me and Gemma on Mondays, every other Mondays. And I think I'm pretty sure she's got a video coming out this Monday. I'm not sure. She'll have to tell me. And Wednesdays nights, of course. And, I like being the keeper of the list. I do enjoy it. Even though sometimes I look like I'm having a rough time by the end of the night. A lot of that's just because of the tremors from sitting. But I'm enjoying myself. I enjoy being with her on those shows. It's so neat to watch her just go to town. And Thursday nights with Miss Pixie. I don't know how things are going to work there because, like I said, Gemma's having trying to work out a schedule. I'm going to have to watch that. But yeah, I guess that's it, folks. If you guys had a wonderful time, let me know. Give a thumbs up. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment. If you like the idea of a midnight show, please let me know in the comments. I do read them. And Puff the Magic Ghost Dragon is going to go bye-bye. You guys have a wonderful night. Please take care of each other. Be safe out there. Keep the faith. Have a good night, folks.